I don't want to vote, excuse me.
I'm the Labour Member of Parliament for Bristol East, and I was out in Moscow just for about 48 hours the beginning of last week. It was something of a whim for me to go out there. I got an invite from somebody who was involved in the Pussy Riot defence campaign, and I found out about the arrests way back at the beginning of March. They were actually arrested, and I found out about it through reading music websites, and from then onwards it was a real struggle to actually get people to take it seriously and to get the attention, particularly political attention, upon the plight of the women, because I think people just saw it as, three young women, so they're inevitably going to be a bit patronising their attitudes towards them. So three young women wearing silly outfits, wearing their balaclavas, silly name, doing the can-can in a church, trying to get people to see that actually this is something that has got a real political significance, is really important in terms of human rights, was quite tricky. But I'm so thankful that in the last few weeks since the trial began, the media attention has been amazing. The fact that you've all turned out today has been fantastic. And as I said, I saw 2 days of the trial, and it's got to be said it was slightly baffling trying to keep up with the way the Russian court system worked, and it was very clear to me, not just from the 2 days that I witnessed, but also hearing about what had happened the previous week, that there seemed to be an awful lot of opportunities for the prosecution to put their case across, and for the so-called victims of this performance to put their views across. Very little opportunity for the defence to cross-examine them. The judge kept cutting, questioning short. Very little opportunity for the defence to bring their own witnesses. They're only allowed to bring 2 character witnesses. And all this time we were crammed into the courtroom was way smaller than this room here, and there were 4 rows for people from the media and from the public to watch. And then you had these 3 young women in their glass box, confined there for, they were in court for up to 12 hours a day. And what was so impressive is that despite the fact they were only getting a few hours sleep a night, despite the fact they weren't being fed properly, they weren't, Masha and Nadia are mothers of young children, weren't allowed to see their children for the 5 months they were in custody. Their spirit was still so strong, and they were defiant, not in a sort of overtly stroppy way, if you like, but just that determination that they weren't going to break down and show. They apologised if they'd caused any offence to on the religious side of things, but they weren't going to deviate from their message. They'd become even more determined to carry on their protest, to try to use their art to get their message across. And you'll see when you hear their statements just how powerful their words are and how strong their spirit is. And it was actually a real privilege to be able to be in court and to witness some of that. So thank you all for your support. We don't anticipate that the verdict will be positive. There's a 1% acquittal rate in court hearings in Russia, and nobody thinks they're going to be in that 1%. It's just a question of what length sentence they get. But it really is important that everyone carries on the fight. They're on trial not because of what they did, not because of that 40-second performance doing the can-can in their balaclavas in the church. They're in court because of what they represent. It's the fact that they're anti-establishment, they're outside the mainstream, they're feminists, they're atheists, they're young women that dare to speak up for themselves and speak out against Putin. And that is really what is at stake here. So thank you all, and I hope that you sort of find the performance that we're about to hear now as powerful as I do. Thank you.
on TV, words for books, words of comfort, words of peace, words to make the fighting cease, words to tell you what to do. Words are working hard for you. Eat your words, but don't go hungry. Words have